Okay, thank you. Let me open my camera. Okay, hello everybody. Uh, nice to see you again, and then nice to meet the new person. So we continue doing drawing. So we covered some stuff last week, and then we continue drawing again this week, but we make it a little more complicated, but more joyful. Definitely. I might share my screen during the course a little bit so you can see what I'm doing on my uh, I have to explain some stuff, so I have to share my screen to do something like quickly on my screen. And then I also shared some files in chat. So if you download these pictures, I think I just shared like a dozen of pictures. So download them, and then we might use some of them down the road. All right, let's, without any further ado, let's start the session. I killed this camera, and then we are going to focus more on this camera, which would be my main screen. All right, let me see if the light is good.
Where do I download it from? Sorry to be a nuisance.
Oh, sorry?
How do I download it? Your drawings, the picture.
Good question.
The photos are in the chat.
The photos are in the chat, yes.
Where had I found chat?
So if you click on the towards the bottom of your screen, there's a little chat, like speech bubble icon at the bottom of your Zoom window.
Can't see it. I've just got all the participants. Well, 3 of us.
So at the bottom of so do you see the sketch pad on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so right under there, there's a little menu that has like where you can mute yourself and stop and share your video.
And mine's at the top. Okay, so must I go on to more?
Maybe you might have a different display, but there's a little chat icon.
Chat, yeah, I've got chat.
So if you click on chat in there, all the house rules that I've put in and the files that Faze has just shared are in there.
Okay.
Make sure you can open the files.
I can't see.
Where do we see the downloads? I don't see them in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
It's at the top of the chat before Alex's rules.
Yeah, so just if you scroll up
at the top, yeah.
And then each one you can hover your mouse over and it'll say click to download.
Because mine starts with Sylvana to everyone. We are in the midst of a hurricane right now. That's all I've got on my chat.
And then I wrote a response to that, and then Faze shared his images.
Right. Oh, no images. It just says, hi all, if you have trouble with audio. And
no, there are no images. I can't see them either.
Me neither.
Okay, it could be a problem because people have different versions of Zoom, possibly. It might not be a feature that's available for everybody.
Okay.
So Faze, do you have another option for this?
I don't see them either, but I've had them before when they've been downloaded or shown up on the Zoom before. We've got them, but this time they're not there.
I have them.
Alexandra, I can email them to you. I've just downloaded them all and you could email them out.
I think I can email it to Alexandra, and then she can share it with everybody. Does that work?
Yeah, no problem. Why don't you get started? I will download them all and email them to everybody. So they'll be coming to your inbox shortly.
Oh, can you download them, Alexandra?
Yep, they're downloading for me, no problem. So
okay,
yeah, me too.
Okay, so you might get them twice because I don't know who has them or not. So just take a look in your inbox in a few minutes if you're waiting for them. And Faze, you can go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So let's do a quick review about what we covered in previous session, and then we jump on new stuff for today. All right. We just talked about lines in previous session, and then we learned how to use our pencil. So we learned how to hold the pencil like this and how to hold the pencil like this. And then each style has their own cons and pros. Not not cons, but yes, let's say each style has their own specifications. So, or maybe advantages. But we usually keep the pencil like this when we do drawing because it gives us lots of freedom in maneuver, so we can use the whole arm to draw lines. Also, we can spin the pencil in between our fingers, and then we learn how to draw vertical lines. We learn how to draw horizontal lines. We talked about diagonal lines, and also we talked about arcs. So, and then we learn how to manipulate the lines to change the quality. So we do it down the road today again. I'm not gonna repeat it. So today we talk about more shapes. I mean, when we learn how to draw lines, then we have to learn how to draw shapes using those lines. So we start with very, very basic geometrical shapes. Let's say for vertical and horizontal line, we are just covering, let's say, squares or rectangles, very simple shapes. For diagonal lines, we are covering triangle, and also we talk about sphere, sorry, a circle a little bit. So basically, these are the basic shapes that you see in most of the drawings. Also, the circle can be like oval shape, like an ellipse, not just a perfect circle. So, and also we have some other varieties in shapes, geometrical shapes. For example, we have trapezoid. We have a sort of, let's say, diamond shape. And also we can have, these are geometrical shapes, and we can have organic shapes as well, which are not geometrical. And also we can have a mixture of both. For example, we can just mix geometrical shape with an organic shape to have a shape like this. So the whole idea is that we have to train our eyes to see the shapes and to know how to and where to use these shapes. And after that, we talk about like value and volumes that we talked a little bit, but we repeat it again. So today we focus on shapes, and yeah, that's it for the first exercise we do on shapes is that, so if you remember, I told you to control your pencil, and when you want to draw a line, imagine two imaginary dots, and then from A to B, just draw a line. So we talked about that. We don't do that, never ever. So that's not a good line. That's no, that's yes. So the same thing happens with the shape. When we want to draw a square, we never do that. That's not good. So we already imagine four spots, A, B, C, D, and we try to just draw four strong lines. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the lines should be strong. The same thing happens with a rectangle or a perfect circle. Circle is a little tricky. I don't expect everybody to just do a circle on the spot, but I learned a trick. The trick is that before drawing a circle, just do a ghost drawing on top. And when you think that the rhythm of your hand and arm is good, then touch the pencil with the paper and draw the circle. So nobody does that. I never get a perfect circle just by touching the paper right away. I never do that. I just do a sort of ghost drawing on top. And once I'm happy with the rhythm, I just put the drawing down. Okay. So now for the first warm-up exercise, I want everybody to just draw a few geometrical shapes. Maybe draw some square, some rectangles, vertical, horizontal, or maybe diagonal rectangles. It's up to you. Also, if you turn the square 45-degree, we get a diamond shape like this. And also we draw some circle, oval shapes, vertical or horizontal. Also draw some rectangles, let's say long rectangles or very short rectangles. So just play with these shapes to get the hang of how to start and then where to start and where to end. It's just a warm-up. Just draw some simple shapes.
Do you never lift your pencil?
Oh, sorry?
Do you never lift your pencil till you've finished? You do it in one move.
Oh, I didn't get your question. What do you mean?
From when you press the paper, you don't pick up your pencil until you've done the whole shape.
Yes, more or less you are right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not necessary to just draw it with one line. So touch the paper and then don't detach
Right.
when you are done. But be confident about each line. Maybe you just put this line and then you detach your pencil. But again, you start from this part and then
Right.
finish the.
Okay, so we've got I got my email.
Okay, yeah, try to download the pictures I sent you. So I'm sharing one more picture at the end. It's called shapes. I would be grateful if Alexandra share it with you as well. Just one more.
Yep. So I will add that to the the file
Perfect.
that I just sent out to everybody. So it'll automatically be included in that link that everyone has.
Okay, perfect. And also let me share my screen with everybody. So
Sorry.
okay, I share my screen. So yeah, this page is not complete, but that works for us. So what I talked about shapes is that we have to be able to see the shapes. It doesn't matter what the name of the shape is. We just need to have a good observation and then to see the angle of the lines which are creating the shape. For example, let me pick a red. For example, I don't care if the name of this shape is parallel. I always have problem with pronunciation. It's parallelogram,
Yeah.
so it's very difficult. I always stumble in the middle. All right, so we don't care the name. We just have to see the let's say the angle. So this one is perfectly horizontal, and this one is like, let's say, 30-degree angle. So we have to see the lines. We have to follow the lines and then see the angles. We have to pay attention to the angles. For now, we don't pay attention to proportions and let's say the size, but just the angle is very important. Or the curve. For example, for this heart, let me change the color to blue. So for this heart, so if this arc is here, we have to pay attention to the shape of this arc and also the curvature. I mean, how deep is the curvature or how shallow is the curvature. Also, top of this cylinder, we have an oval shape. We have to be able to see these shapes. And that's a good example, the cube. So it's a cube, it's a form, it's a 3D volume, but we have to be able to see it in 2D shapes. In other words, we have to be able to divide it into simple geometrical two-dimensional shapes. For example, what I see here, I see a diamond shape on top and also two parallelogram shapes on both sides. So that's the diamond shape on top. We have to be able to see these shapes, not forms or volumes. So, and also these two shapes here, one here and one here. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that we have to be able to see shapes. We don't have to fall in the trap of a complicated 3D volume and then it just gives us hard time trying to find how to draw it. Let me share my screen again to show you some other stuff. Okay, that's good too. All right, I share my screen again. All right, so that's what I mean. I mean, when we see a shape, when we see a volume or an object, we don't have to be afraid of how complicated it is. We have to be able to see the shapes. I mean, the very first thing I do, I just squint my eyes and see the whole shape all together. So the very first thing I see, let me change the color to blue, which is more visible. The very first thing I see is the whole shape here. I don't care about the details at all. That's what I see at first. It's a very simple shape, right?
That's the outline.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very simple shape. So see this first and then try to explore the object one shape at a time. So that's the key to success in drawing, one shape at a time. Don't worry about other parts, just start from here. What I see here is just this shape, this trapezoid shape here, like upside down trapezoid here. And also I see a little triangle here. I see another triangle here. Okay, even I don't care about the positive parts. I'm just focusing on negative shapes, right? Because if negative shapes are as important as positive shapes in drawing. Okay, that's what I do. I just pay attention to the shapes little by little and then finish the drawing. The other trick is put this away. Okay. This part is giving me a hard time. Okay, let me erase the whole thing and then I do another one. So again, I just see the whole shape. That's another technique. So I just see the whole shape. I just do a quick sketch, maybe not this thick, even thinner. And then I start to see again positive shapes. So I just see a shape here. Just see this. And also I just see this shape separately. Even I don't pay attention to the details, right? Just see the shapes by itself. Just a simple shape. Simple geometrical shapes. Also, for example, this part, which looks like a very long rectangle. Okay, so explore the object one shape at a time. That's all I'm trying to say. And speaking of negative shape painting, let me share another picture with you.
This is hard.
So no, it's not. It looks hard, but as I mentioned, we start with the oh, how come this is not working? When I zoom, the drawing is not working on this. So what I see here is that I see the whole shape here. So I just try to see it very simple, the whole thing. I don't pay attention to details yet. That's what I see here. Okay, that's what I see. Let me make it silhouette. That's what I see at first. So try to see the whole thing, right? And then we try to add a little details to, so we adjust the, let's say, the drawing little by little. Okay, that's the very first thing we do. And also another technique is, let me erase it. What I got. For some reason it's closed.
Yeah, all we're seeing is, well, the blank page, but before we lost the picture with the outline.
Yeah, I have to
Yeah.
share. Yeah, for some reason screen share just stopped. Let me share it again.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now we've got a terrible.
okay.
We've got a goat.
Okay, the other technique is that we have to see the negative shape. In order to see negative shape, the very first thing we do is that we try to draw an imaginary square around the character. So the perimeter of the character is touching the edges like this. Okay, so we do this, and after we did this, oh my This is giving me a hard time today. When I zoom in, I cannot draw. That's crazy. So I just draw a box around the character, so the character is touching the edges. Okay, and then let me save it. So okay. So you see here, the next step is that we try to just focus on each negative section. So I don't care about the other parts. I just start with each negative shapes that I see in between the positive shapes and the box that I created. For example, I just focus on this part. It looks like a sort of triangle, which is a little organic shape, okay? But I just see this shape. That's one thing. The other shape is this. I just see this part, okay? Which is trapped in between the positive shapes of the character. See, I just see these three shapes, 1, 2, 3. And also, I do see another shape here. Does that make sense what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay. Just explore the character one shape at a time. Don't worry about the details inside.
I can't see the bottom of where the feet go. It's not showing me. It's cut off.
Okay. Let me zoom back a little bit. So I have to save it and then zoom back a little bit so you can see the whole thing.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So as you see, I just started to see shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't allow me to draw here. Anyways, so each shape is leading me toward more details of the character. Once I have the outline of the character laid down, then I just pay attention to the inside, which is another subject that we talk about volume later. So let me stop sharing the screen. Now, what I want you to do is to pull some of these pictures I shared with you. For example, this. Start with this ladder. Let me share it again. Yeah, pull this picture that I shared with you and start drawing this, but just see the negative shapes. Start with negative shapes that you see inside, and then complete the negative shape which is outside. And then you can continue with let's see. Can continue with not that's difficult, not for now. You can continue with this, and what else we do have? These are maybe this one, but just this part, the negative shape on the top and negative shape at the bottom. Don't worry about the inside, just these negative shapes here around these objects. And this one maybe that's easier. Maybe start with this. And if you want maybe this one, just pick 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, that's all we need for now. Let me stop sharing the screen so I draw with you some of these shapes. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just pay attention to the shapes that you see and try to draw them as you see them. So don't forget that imaginary box around the character. So I just see a box around the character. I start from here. And sometimes it gives your drawing a really unique style because you are just focusing on negative shapes, and then it changes the whole style of the character versus you're trying to just draw positive shapes. Okay.
Can't get my dimensions.
Okay. I draw another thing here.
I haven't got the goat on mine.
Oh, sorry.
There's no goat on mine.
Oh, in the pictures, you didn't see it?
No. It's got shapes, ladder, LinkedIn, kid, kitty.
Yeah, there was no goat attachment.
Oh, did it come as a separate attachment?
I
No.
just shared it again in chat.
Okay.
Oh, it's just called images?
Yes.
Okay.
I've,
Okay.
I've
that's
just
fine.
downloaded it from there and added it to the file as well. So you'll have it in
Okay.
that link.
Yeah, we probably just had the wrong name. Sorry.
I don't have a goat. Oh, I do.
I don't expect you to just draw the goat perfectly. I just want you to pay attention to the negative shapes. So do your drawing, but just do negative shape painting. This gives you a better, this strengthens your observation to see shapes, not just positive shapes, but negative shapes, and sometimes both together at the same time. So when your eyes are trained to observe positive and negative shapes together, then drawing gets much easier for you because you are not lost in between shapes, forms, and values and lines. So you just know where you are going. It's like you are looking at a very complicated map or blueprint, but it's not confusing because you know which goes where. I mean, which
Yeah.
line belongs to which part, and then which shape belongs to which part. So it's like a civil engineer which can just read that construction blueprint easily. It looks very complicated, but for a trained person, it's not. But we start with some simple shapes and value to go little by little toward volume and form. So let's continue with our shapes. So we talked about shapes, and also we learned that how to see shapes. One thing which is very helpful when we know shapes, and also it's essential. It should be like beside shapes, or let's say I would call it shapes. Let's say brother or sister. They are siblings. They should be together always. It's a value. So we have shapes, and we need to know about values. So these two work together to create a three-dimensional form or volume for us. And what do I mean by that? It means that you remember we talked about the cube. So we saw a cube form somewhere in one of those pictures, something like this. And I told you that we have to be able to separate this form into, or we have to be able to break it down into very simple shapes. So I just break it down to three simple geometrical shapes. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Okay. So this cube is nothing more than a combination of these three separate shapes, geometrical shapes. They combine together, and then we have a drawing like this. And once we have a drawing like this, values just come handy here. We talked about values before. You remember we said that we can create, let's say, unlimited steps of values using either tip of our pencil and hatches or side of our pencil. And I remember we talked about density of these hatches. So the darker and the denser these hatches are, the darker value we have, like this. I'm just using the tip of my pencil, okay? And here I just used side of my pencil to put a very light shading here. And then I increase the pressure to get a darker value. And again, darker. So we have four values here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say this one is dark, this one is light, This one is medium light, and this one is medium dark, or both are medium, doesn't matter. 4 values. So again, we try to put these values here. I just do a simple shading here. I just give it 2 values for now. Remember this phrase, 2 values. Remember this. We always start drawing with this. I mean, we always start with 2 values. We don't make things complicated. We just see everything in 2 values. The dark part and the light part. So if we are able to see this, then the rest gets easier and easier. So the same thing happens here. We just see this in 2 values. If you squint your eyes and look at this, you just see a diamond shape, which is light, like this, and a sort of V shape here, which is darker. So we have 2 shapes here. The top part is light, the bottom part is a little darker, just 2 values, okay? That's the first step. Next step is that we add 1 value at a time if needed. So for this bottom part, I just add more value to one side, like this. Now what do we have here? We have a 3D form here, which is nothing more than 3 simple shapes and some different values. So shapes and values are working together to create a 3D form for us, okay? Another example, I just put a simple circle here. Okay, it's just a simple circle, and let me just make it a little more pale. It's a very simple circle. Okay, it's nothing. It's not telling us anything, no information. So shape sometimes can give us information, sometimes not. I mean, values and shapes work together to give us information or inform us about the object that we are trying to depict here, okay? So what I do is that I add some values to this circle. So see what happens here. I just add a little bit light gray here. And then I try to soften it a little bit using my finger. So just 2 values, see? 2 values, light, dark, light, dark. And then I add more values here. So I just make it darker. 1 step darker down there. Then I try to soften it using my fingertip. And maybe 1 more value here. A little darker again here. So what do we see here? It looks like we are dealing with a 3D form, which looks like a sphere or ball, okay? So I just soften the edges so we don't get a ridge line here. Now we have to do 1 more thing. So it looks like there's a light source from here. So when there's a light source here, it looks like we are going to have a cast shadow here. So we just put a sort of oval shape here. which is representing the cast shadow part. And then we make this, we give this the darkest value. Okay, so how many values we have here? 1, which is the light, 2, which is the medium light, 3 is, let's say, medium dark. They are blended into each other. 4 is, let's say we have medium here. Let's say 2 medium, 3 is medium dark, and 4 is dark, which is the cast shadow. We have 4 values here. And still we can add a little value somewhere as information. For example, I just add a little value again here, so it changes the whole thing. Just this little information. See, this little information is it's changing the whole thing. It's giving you more information, and then you can tell that, okay, that's an apple then. Okay, it's very easy. So what I'm trying to say is that drawing is nothing more than right shapes and right values, right? So you have to put the right value and right shape, and let's say in the right composition or the right combination. So I remember there's a very famous saying in Canada which says that if you want to find a job, 3 things should work together. So right person, right place, right time. So these 3 have to work together so you can get a job. So you are the right person, but on the wrong time you're at the right place. It's not working. So everything should work together. So drawing. So I'm using this proverb to say that drawing is that, let's say, right shapes, right values in the right and correct combination. That's all. Okay. So let's do some quick exercises together. Before that, so remember that if we have a simple shape, with adding a little value, we can change this shape to something else. So let's say we have 2 identical shapes, but I just add a little value to one part of this shape. So if I ask you, what do you see here and here, what you can tell me? So at least you tell me that I see a sort of cube here, but this one is like a simple, like an envelope or a simple shape. And even if you just be able to manipulate the shapes a little bit, for example, this shape, I just add a little value to one side and I try to manipulate the shape a little bit. For example, I try to adjust the shape a little bit here. So instead of having a perfect rectangle, I try to have a sort of trapezoid, right? And then I add some value to this. Now we have a cube, okay? So that's not the technique to create a cube. I show you how to do that. But what I'm trying to say is that if you add some values to a shape, you can completely change the characteristic of the shape and then create something new, like this apple here. So let's do some quick exercise together. So what I want you to do is have some simple shapes, like squares or rectangles, triangles. Have 2 or 3 of each shape and try to play with volumes, values, sorry, to see what sort of volume you get out of this. So for example, for this one, I just add some value here. I don't know what I'm getting, but I'm just playing with shapes and values. Also, put a line here, value. For this one, I put another square inside and then just have a diagonal shape here. I try to play with values. So for the bigger square, I put the value on bottom left. For the small one, I put the value on top right. And if I squint my eyes, maybe I'm getting something. Also here for this triangle, I just divide it in half and then add some value. So I'm getting a sort of pyramid shape. I have no idea what it is. And also I add one more smaller triangle here. I add some values. So that's what I want you to do. Just play with these shapes and then see what you get. And this is very interesting. So I just put a cross or X in the middle of this rectangle. It looks like an envelope. So I just start with two shapes. I just put some value here. And again, I try to make sections, each section darker and darker. So we have 4 values in one shape, and I don't know, if I squint my eyes, it looks like a 3D shape. Looks like I'm looking at a pyramid from the top. So it just, drawing is just a nice, let's say, dance in between shapes and values. So if you put the right value in the right place and the right shape, so you get where you want to. So after this, I show you how to create a 3D forms and then add values to that. Just do this quick exercise and then we jump on 3D forms. Okay, let's do some exercise about how to just give you a quick lecture, and then we do some exercise together about how to create a form out of a shape. So it's very easy. If you want to create a form out of a shape, so basically what you need is you need two things. First, a horizontal line, or let's say we call it horizon line, and then you need a spot on this horizon line, a point that we call it vanishing point. Okay, you just need these two things to create a form out of a shape. For example, if I have a square here, what I need is let me see if I can change my pencil to a different color so it gives you a better definition about what I'm talking about. So I grab blue pencil here. All right, so what I need is horizontal line, which I call it horizon line, and then a vanishing point here. So what I need to do is I just connect the corners of my shape to this vanishing point like this. So I get a sort of triangle shape here, but I try to cut this triangle maybe 1/4 from the left or 1/4 from the bottom of the triangle. So that would be half. I just cut it from here, and then I just use this shape, and I can get rid of these extra lines. I don't need them. So this way I get a cube shape. All I need is that I just add some value here, and I have a 3D object here. Also, it's very, let's do one more thing here. So also I just add, I do the same thing with a triangle. I just have a triangle. Then I just add a horizon line which goes through it, a vanishing point, and I add the corners which are on the side of the point to the point, and I try to close it somewhere. So I have this shape, this form, I mean actually two shapes, 1, 2, and I get rid of the extra lines. I don't need them. And then we add some value here. Also, I can add a smaller triangle shape here and then add some value here. It looks like a tent, right? So this horizon line and vanishing point is very important, but also remember that you can move this. It doesn't have to go exactly through your shape or in the middle of your object. You can move it up, you can move it down. For example, things here. For example, we continue with this square. This time I put the horizon line on top, and then I put the vanishing point here. Now I can connect 3 corners to this vanishing point. 1, 2, 3. Now I have 2 triangle shapes here. One here one at the top. So I just try to close it like this, maybe 10% from the bottom, somewhere here, let's say. And again, I use this intersection and draw a horizontal line to close the other. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Okay. So I get rid of these extra lines. Now I have three shapes combined together, creating a cube. I have the top part, the side, and the front. So let's put some values here. We keep the top part light. Again, I start with two values. I always start with two values, okay? Light, dark. Light, dark. And again, I add more values here. Now we have a 3D shape. Looks like there's a light source here. The top part is lighter. The front is mid-tone and the side is really dark. And if we add just cast shadow here, our drawing is complete now. Okay. And also, as I mentioned, always you can manipulate your drawing. So you can add more shapes here. And it looks like a building now, right? Okay. So that's how we do drawings. One shape at a time, right value. And yeah, let's continue with some other shapes. For example, I just have this horizon line here. I just add a circle here and maybe a vanishing point here. I just connect the sides of this circle to this vanishing point. And I try to close it, but not with straight line. Since this side is curved, always these two lines work together, should be like twins or parallel. So I just grab a curved line like parallel to this, like it's twin. I close this. Now I have a cylinder shape. Okay. And again, I just add two values. Start with two values, one to the front. Since it's a cylinder, it means that we have a darker part here. So I just make half of it a little darker. But again, I add a little more value here. And I fade it as I come up. Okay, so this way we create some 3D volume. And as I mentioned, again, you can manipulate your add or remove things. I just add one more circle here and then make it a little darker, right? So it's like we have a sort of, I don't know, paper towel roll, whatever. So what I want you to do is do some exercise like this. So start with some simple shapes, a square, maybe a rectangle, a circle, and try to create a 3D form out of them. So one time just pass the horizon line through it, one time maybe at the top, or maybe one time at the bottom. So it's up to you. So you have a square. The horizon line is at the bottom. You put the vanishing point here, connect the corners, and then close your box as you wish. So you can have a very longer cube. Looks like it's hovering in mid-air. Okay, and then add values. That's all you need to do. So create a 3D form and then add some value to each section or shape. So create a 3D form here. And in order to add some fun to this, I just add cast shadow here, the ground. And then get rid of these extra lines. Yeah, looks like I have a hovering box in mid-air. I always can add or remove things. Then I use this vanishing point to connect this part to the vanishing point. And I add, all I'm doing is that I'm playing with shapes and values, that's all. Maybe add some circles here and maybe some lines. I'm just having fun. I'm not trying to create anything specific. Okay. I'm gonna give you one exercise as your assignment to do it at home, and then we do some drawing together. So we use some shapes and some values to do a drawing together. Very, very simple drawing. So one exercise that you can do at home, actually I do it every now and then. It looks like a meditation for me. What I do is that I just sit down and then listen to my music, have my tea or coffee right beside me, and then I start with a very, very simple shape. maybe for example, a rectangle. Okay, like this. It doesn't matter which angle it has, just I start with a rectangle. The very first thing is that I draw this, and then I think of an imaginary vanishing point somewhere. Even I don't need a horizon line. So I just think of an imaginary vanishing point. For example, here. I just put the vanishing point here, and I try to connect as much as corners I can to this vanishing point, like this. And then I close my form the way I want. For example, here. The most important thing is that these lines should be completely parallel. These lines should be like twins, parallel, okay? So once I have my shape, so I can just get rid of these extra lines. You can start with the second shape. So let's finish the forms, and then we take care of the value later. So that's the first shape I put. The second shape maybe I put here is a square. But this time I changed the vanishing point. You can use the same vanishing point, but I really prefer to change it. So I changed the vanishing point to here. And then I try to connect as many as corners as I can to this vanishing point, and then close. So these lines should be completely parallel, these two and these two. Okay, so I have two forms here. Maybe I continue with a triangle. I put the vanishing point here, and I add I connect the corners, and then I create my form. Again, these lines should be completely parallel. Okay. So after 30 minutes, or let's say 40 minutes, you have the whole page full of these floating forms, and then you start to adding value. So it doesn't matter where is the light source. You can just have a separate light source for each form. What I do is that I try to add some, at least two values to each form. Let's say three values, including the light part. And at the end, I wind up having a page full of like floating objects, floating 3D objects like these, like bricks or whatever. And it's very, also it's very decorative. You can easily hang it on your wall. So after 1 or 2 hours, you have a complete page full of these floating shapes. So that's your homework assignment. So do it when you have like free time to do more drawing. Also, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be three sides of the shape. Maybe you just see two sides of one shape. So I just put this here, the vanishing point is here. I just see two sides of this box. It doesn't have to be three. In this case, you just add one value. Okay. But at least we have to see two sides. We don't want to see just one side, which of the one shape or one side of this volume or form. Two sides at least, and maybe three sides if you wish. So that's the assignment. So do it in your spare time. It's like meditation, believe me. So let me share my screen, and then we do some drawing together. Where is the, okay, here. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, we try to do a drawing like this together. I just do a quick demonstration and then we do a drawing together like this. So it might look a little difficult or complicated for you, but it's not. We just have four values here, including the white part of the paper, or even if we disregard the white part, we have just dealing with three values, one light, one medium, and one dark. All these three values are giving us enough information to tell us that, okay, we are looking at a human eye, which looking at us. That's all. So basically what we do is, let me show you the second. Okay, so the very first thing we do is that we just see the whole shape in like one value. Remember, we just start with two values, white, dark, light, dark. Okay, light, dark. So we see this part as one value. That's first. And the second part is that we try to separate one value at a time. So we just separate the light from this white, and then we separate medium from the light part, and finally we just take care of the dark part, right? That's how we do that. Okay, so let's go back to the drawing, and then I stop sharing the screen to show you what I mean here. Let me open the picture here. And I just do a quick drawing here to show you what I mean. So as I mentioned, I start with, if you can open this drawing in your monitor so you can follow me and see what I'm doing. So what I do is that I have this frame here to draw in, and then I start with the whole shape. So I don't care to the details now. I just see it in two values like this, okay? Two values. I just put the light gray here, only two values, light and dark. I don't pay attention to details or more values here. Just light, dark, so you can just soften it a little bit. Okay, now that's the first value I put. Now I take care of the second value, which is medium. First, I try to capture the shape. And also I have some negative shape here, a little here. So I put the second value here. I'm just doing it quickly for the sake of demonstration, because I want to have time to do drawing together. Maybe it's not accurate, but just I'm showing you the steps. Okay, that second value is in. It doesn't look like anything yet, but believe me, when you add the darkest part, nothing's to come together, and then it reveals the whole thing. So two values here. Now I take care of the third value, which is the darkest part of our drawing here. Okay. Maybe one more thing here. Don't know what it is. So I just add the darker value pretty fast, which reveals our subject or drawing. Also, I have a little highlight here. I just save it. Okay, so that's how we do it, just one shape at a time. So as I mentioned, it's not accurate. Maybe it's a little hard to tell what it is. But what I did that I just followed the shapes. So what I want you to do is that pull this drawing. Let me share my screen again with you. Okay. All right. Okay. Do you see my screens, the portrait? Can you see the portrait here? Okay. So so we start working on this portrait. So what we see here, it's just three values, or maybe, yeah, let's say it's three values, like light, medium, and dark. So don't worry about these two parts. We can keep them light. So we have light, medium, and dark. So what we do is that first we see it in two values. So just the darkest part. This time we change it a little bit. We just take care of the darkest parts first, and then we add the medium to the light part. Okay, so this time we put light and medium in one part and then the dark in one part. Okay, so if you pull this, so we can draw together. Okay. Let me see if I can print it so I can have a reference right beside myself. No, so the printer is out of ink, so I don't have time to change the ink anyways. All right, so I just start with the, so we can do it together. So we pull the picture and we start with the darkest part. First, I just put the perimeter around it, so the frame, then just start with the darkest shape I see. I'm just using the same technique we used for negative shape painting. I just see the darkest part as the negative shape. So And also we have some lighter parts inside. Okay, so what I did is that I just have the darkest part separate from the lightest part. What I do is I just put some dark value here. I just use side of my pencil and put lots of pressure. So I just get the maximum contrast. And then I add the medium tone. So first I put the dark tone and then I add the medium tone and leave the white parts the way they are. And then our drawing is finished. So as I mentioned, right shapes and right values in the right composition. So our next step is in drawing is that to find the relationship between shapes and proportions to control. We have to do lots of measurement. At this point, we have to add a little engineering to our art. So before we just freely do art, but next step is that we add a little bit engineering. So we have to calculate the relationship between, you have to keep an eye on the relationship between shapes and also the proportions. We use some techniques to do a quick measurement in terms of length and width of the shapes and the relationship of these parts together. So I'm just putting the dark tone quickly here. So as you see, it's like just two tones, but almost the drawing is visible. We know where we are going. Okay. So next step is that I smudged it. So let me remove these parts. So next thing I do is that I try to capture the medium tone parts, and I try to put the shapes here. Okay. Also here. And we keep that part light, and then we keep that part light. And a little shadow here. So I just add a very light mid-tone here. And again, I can fortify the dark parts later if I need. But first, let's put this second tone, which is the medium here, and see how it goes. Okay, not bad. I think I can just add a little darker contrast to my dark, so I have room to do that. And then some. Okay, so I can soften some parts with a piece of napkin. And finally, I can just clean it up, some parts that I smudged. So yeah, that's how we do drawing. We just observe, we capture the shapes. Let's say we hunt the shapes, and then we render it, we execute it using our material and tools to apply the right value to the shapes that we captured. Even with these steps, you can draw a portrait easily. You can just draw your friends or family's portraits easily. Okay, so I think that's how I do my drawings. So I would like to see what you did so far in terms of this. I don't expect everybody to finish it, but I would be happy if you share it with me to see what you did. Oh, that's very good. Lori, yeah, this is good. I mean, you have to pay more attention to the value that lines. So lines are good, but just shape and values. Oh, very good, very good. That's very good. I love these negative shapes. Barb, that's very good. You have room for more values, more dark parts, darker. That's very good. Perfect. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Perfect. Oh, that's very good. Marie, that's great. That's great. Thank you. It looks very good. Okay, I think we are done for today. I'm not sure if we have more drawing session next week. I'm not sure. I have to see my calendar. I know I'm booked for 3 more drawing sessions in October, but I have to see my calendar. I don't know if it's the same group. If it's the same group, we continue to more advanced steps. If not, so I have to start from the beginning again. But it was fun working together again. Oh, that's very good, Anna. I really love it. You have room for one midtone, one more midtone in the middle. Francis, that's great. That's very good. You have room for darker in dark areas. You can go even 2 steps darker. That's very good. Perfect. All right. It was great working with you, and I hope to see you again soon. Keep drawing, enjoy drawing, and then don't be stressed. I mean, the most important part of drawing is that just enjoying and having fun, right? Don't be stressed about the other's judgment. Nobody has to judge you because it's just your art. Just enjoy drawing, and then yeah,
We'll
even
see you again.
15 minutes per day. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for the great workshop,
Thank
Faiz.
you. Have a good day.
Thanks
Thank
everyone for
you.
joining us. I will
Bye.
follow up with the recording. Have a great day,
Yeah, sure.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.